Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. 14 huge Coronation Street spoilers for next week. Next week on Coronation Street, Abby faces an upsetting time as she's targeted in a deep fake incident. Elsewhere, Bernie tries to plead her case with her long-lost son, and Simon considers saying his goodbyes. Here's a full collection of 14 big moments coming up. Abby is shocked to stumble across a TV documentary which praises killer Corey Brent for his football skills. Kevin explains that Corey is now part of the prison football team and making a name for himself with his talents on the pitch. Abby watches the rest of the documentary and is appalled to see that it paints her son's killer as a sporting hero. She and Nina visit the TV company responsible, barging into the producer's office to demand an explanation. Abby and Nina are pleased to receive public support when the documentary is covered by the Weatherfield Gazette. A petition is even started which condemns the bizarre broadcast. Drug dealer Dean reappears at the garage, telling Abby that he needs her help as he's going through a bad patch. Abby shows no sympathy after Dean's previous bad behavior, telling him to go away. Later, Tyrone receives an email at the garage which contains a link to a sex video which seemingly features Abby. The explicit video starts to spread around different websites and Abby fears that Dean is responsible. She confronts him with a wrench, accusing him of making the sex tape without her knowledge and posting it online. Dean protests his innocence and Kevin steps in to prevent the row from escalating any further. The police bring Dean in for questioning, but Abby is baffled when 4 more videos appear. She looks at the footage more closely and realizes that they're all deep fakes. Bernie tells Dev that it's 31 years since she gave birth to Zodiac, the son she gave away. Shortly afterwards, Bernie is baffled to find her car being towed away. She spots newcomer Kit lurking nearby and believes that he must be responsible for her being targeted like this. Bernie storms down to the police station to file a harassment complaint against Kit. Craig and his colleagues interrupt to present Kit with a cake for his 31st birthday, leaving Bernie stunned to realize that he's her long-lost son after all. At the hospital, Billy and Paul try to use a parking bay for disabled people, but another driver swoops in to claim it. The other driver doesn't have a valid reason for using the space, so Kit intervenes by showing his police ID and scaring them off. Billy and Paul mention Kit's intervention to Bernie, who realizes that her long-lost son does have some kind qualities after all. Bernie visits the police station to thank Kit, and she also begs for a chance to tell her side of why she gave him up. Simon wakes up with a hangover after falling back into old habits with his drinking. He admits to Nick and Toya that he can barely remember the previous day. Nick and Toya tell Rowan that they'd like to speak to Leanne, who's still away on the Institute retreat. They want to tell her about Simon, but Rowan insists that she can't be disturbed. Lining up his next target, Rowan asks Evan to talk, saying that he knows what it's like to drift through life without direction. Simon decides to join Leanne on the Institute retreat, despite pleas from Nick and Toya that it's not a good idea. When Simon doesn't seem to be listening, Nick calls Peter for help. Later, Simon relents and unpacks his bag as he reveals that Peter has offered him a job on the yacht. Carla confides in Sarah about how she's missing Peter following his departure at Christmas. Simon shows Carla some pictures of Peter, who seems to have moved on as one of the photos shows him with his arm around a woman. Nina tells Stu that she's growing increasingly worried about Roy as he still won't speak to anyone at the prison and refuses to leave his cell. Fellow inmate Roscoe takes an interest in Roy and visits his cell, but Roy gets scared and accidentally knocks his own chessboard over. Roscoe is baffled by Roy's behavior and heads out. Evelyn tries to make Roy's prison life a little bit more bearable by suggesting they should have a book club so they have something to talk about during her visits. Roy feels like he has something to look forward to again, But more trouble could lie ahead for him when it's revealed that Griff has been transferred back to the Weatherfield prison. Gary is questioned by Maria over why £10,000 has gone missing from their bank account. He claims that he had to buy a new boiler for the factory. Steve meets up with Demi and asks for another chance, aware that he put her off with too much talk about Tracy recently. Later, Steve makes plans for his upcoming 50th birthday, telling Tim that he wants to spend it at the local football exhibition.